Chapter 25, Final Moment 2. After Cronus fell, the storm didn't stop. It screamed louder, because the king of the Titans was down, but his army wasn't. From the broken hills, from the cracks in the earth, from the black clouds above, Titan beasts and loyalists rose like an ocean of wrath. The ones too stubborn to kneel. The ones too proud to stop. They marched now, screaming in old tongues, led by surviving Titans whose names hadn't yet fallen to silence. But Zeus didn't wait. He stood above the crater, chest bare, blood running from his side, sparks still hissing around his arms. The broken sky mirrored his eyes, burning, flashing, raging. He raised one hand. The clouds split wide. 100 bolts fell at once, like rain if rain was made of judgment. Titan soldiers evaporated in mid-charge, their bones turned to ash before they could scream. But Zeus wasn't done. He stepped forward. The ground cracked. Skill. Heavenbreaker. Each step was a blow. Not on the land, on the sky itself. With every movement, the air behind him shattered like glass. Lightning arced across the field, dancing like wild beasts toward the enemy lines. A Titan beast, a thing with 100 arms and one single burning eye, leapt at him from the side. Zeus turned his palm. Skill. Storm lock. The monster froze midair, its body suspended in thunder-stilled time. Then Zeus clenched his fist, and the beast exploded in every direction. Thunder echoed for miles. The Titan army faltered for the first time. But still they came. And now they swarmed. Zeus didn't retreat. He moved forward, into the thick of them. A group of giant warriors surrounded him, armored in obsidian and wielding blades forged from the first mountain's teeth. Zeus crouched low. Skill. Sky Ren barrage. He vanished. Reappeared behind one, his fist through its back. Reappeared above another, kicked its skull clean off. Reappeared between the last two, drove his hands into the ground. Lightning erupted upward like geysers. They didn't just kill, they erased. Nothing but ash. Zeus stood again, chest heaving, arms crackling. Still not done. A new wave charged, this one led by Clemenos, a minor titan of warlust, screaming with madness, his dual axes drenched in divine blood. "I'll mount your heart on my chest," Clemenos roared. Zeus didn't answer. Skill. Wrath conduction. He pointed a single finger. A bolt snapped through the clouds and into Clemenes's chest before he blinked. The Titan dropped to one knee, smoking, but roared again, rising. Zeus walked toward him. The ground dimmed beneath each footfall. Thunder responded like drums. Clemenos charged. Their weapons met, axes against raw lightning wrapped in fists. A shockwave flattened half the field. But Zeus twisted, ducked under the second swing, and... Skill. Chain flash. One punch, then 5 more in the same second. Each hit struck with thunder so loud, Titans across the ridge covered their ears and fell. Clemenos reeled. His mouth opened to scream. Zeus grabbed his throat. Lifted him high. Skill. Storm crown execution. A crown of lightning formed above Clemenes's head, then came down like a guillotine. The Titan exploded midair. Zeus let the ash fall. All across the battlefield, his siblings saw it. Poseidon grinned. Hades tilted his head. Hera, bloodied and breathless, leaned on Nemea and smirked, whispering, "He's pissed now." Even Demeter paused, vines pulsing at her fingertips. But the Titan army didn't stop. Some were too far gone. One last commander stepped forward, often, a Titan who had once ruled the heavens before Cronus. A skeletal figure with wings of black marble and a voice like crushed stone. "You are not fit to lead the cosmos," often hissed. Zeus looked at him. "I don't want to lead the cosmos." He stepped forward again. "I just want you all gone." Often's wings spread. Skill. Gravity severance. The world around him twisted. Gravity flipped. Mountains folded into air. Bodies lifted and fell. Zeus was caught midair. Often raised his hand. Threw a spear of condensed gravity. Zeus twisted his body midair and... Skill. Thunder deflect. He slapped it aside. Landed hard. Sank a knee into the earth, and the thunder responded like a god. The storm above dimmed for a breath. Then it roared louder than ever. Zeus stood. His chest glowed now, not with lightning. With divine will. Skill. Olympian surge. The storm crashed downward. Onto him, not burning him, becoming him. For a moment, he became light. Not metaphor, actual light. A column of golden storm that walked like a man. He flew forward. His fist met Offin's wing. The wing cracked, then shattered. Offin screamed. Zeus landed behind him, turned. Skill. Thunder King's fall. His heel slammed into the back of Ophan's neck. The Titan hit the ground so hard it cracked in 10 directions. He didn't move again. Zeus stood over him, breathing like a man on fire. Around him, the battlefield shifted. The Titans saw. And they ran. Not all, but most. The younger ones. The ones who hadn't yet tasted wrath from a god of sky and storm. Zeus didn't chase them. He turned to the last remaining soldiers, beasts, creatures, giants, corrupted demigods. He raised his hand again. The sky parted. This time, there were no single bolts. Just one, massive, endless. Skill. Heaven's final verdict. It fell like judgment. Not just light, weight, everything that didn't kneel, vanished. The battlefield fell silent. Only the rain whispered now. Zeus exhaled, dropped to one knee. His siblings began to walk toward him. One by one, Demeter, Poseidon, Hera, Hades, Hestia. All scarred, all bloodied, all alive. The war was over. The sky above them wasn't broken anymore. It was open, ready for a new age. Zeus stood slowly, looked at them all. He didn't speak. But the lightning in his eyes had softened. Not gone. Just waiting, because they had won, but ruling. That was another battle entirely. The lightning faded, but the smell of ozone still clung to the air. Ash drifted down like black snow. Zeus stood in the silence, knees bent, one hand still pressed to the cracked earth. His breath was deep, controlled, but tired, like his body had given everything it had. Then, a soft crunch behind him. Zeus didn't flinch. Prometheus stepped forward first, shirt torn, hands still glowing faint with leftover flame. His brother, Epimetheus, followed, blood running down one temple, but smiling like a man who had finally seen the sun after years of storms. Métis came last, calm, elegant, but there was mud on her knees. Ash on her cloak. Her golden eyes watched him like only she could. You finally won, Prometheus said with a half smile, offering a hand. Zeus didn't answer at first. He took it. Prometheus pulled him up slow. Epimetheus clapped his shoulder. That was insane. I thought the sky was going to fall with how much power you pumped through it. It nearly did, Zeus muttered. Métis stepped closer. She didn't touch him, just looked at him, steady and quiet. What about him? She asked. Zeus followed her gaze. To the middle of the crater. Where Cronus still lay, barely breathing. Covered in rubble, his side snapped in two. Time itself no longer listened to him. The world had moved on. Zeus stared at him for a long moment. No words, no rage, no pity, just silence. Then he looked up, past the mountain ridges, all the way to the far peak of Mount Dictys. There, in the gray light of dawn, stood two silhouettes. Gaia, and Rhea. Gaia's eyes glowed faint with ancient sorrow. Her vines curled gently around Rhea's shoulder. Rhea, for once, didn't look like the wounded queen or grieving mother. She looked like someone who had waited a long, long time for a storm to pass. Zeus exhaled through his nose. I'll let Granny decide, he said simply. Métis raised a brow. Just like that, Zeus nodded. I fought the war. I ended him. I'm not going to judge him too. I just want to rest. He sat down again, not collapsed, just lowered. Like the storm had finally left his bones. Prometheus looked back at Cronus. You sure Gaia will show mercy? I'm not, Zeus said. But it's not my choice. I'm done choosing who lives and who doesn't. The wind shifted. Rain finally stopped. For the first time in what felt like forever, the sky was blue. Hera walked past them, bruised but standing tall. She didn't say anything, just nodded once at Métis, then sat beside Zeus, shoulder to shoulder. Poseidon dragged Trina behind him and flopped down on the other side. Hades stood at the crater's edge, helm off, watching Cronus like he was seeing the ghost of a future he'd never wanted. Then he turned, and slowly sat near his siblings. Demeter arrived next, wiping blood from her cheek. Hestia followed, wrapping her flame cloak tighter around herself. One by one, they all sat, nothing grand, no throne, no anthem, no divine light show. Just siblings, sitting together after surviving hell. Métis crossed her arms and smirked. You know you've got to rebuild the world now, right? Zeus leaned his head back and groaned. Later. Prometheus chuckled. Want me to write the speech? Burn it instead. Epimetheus grinned. We could just make a big dinner and call it a win. Hestia finally smiled. A small one, but real. Zeus let his eyes drift closed. And for the first time, he rested, not as a god, not as a warrior, not as the storm, just as himself. To be continued. Chapter 26, Division. 2 weeks later, Mount Dictee, Peak of Clouds. The war was over, the Titans were sealed, the battlefield silent, and the scars of the world had begun to heal. And for 2 weeks, Zeus hadn't touched his armor once. Instead, he stayed here, on the quiet peak of Dictee, with Métis. Sometimes talking, sometimes walking, sometimes just sitting in silence while clouds rolled below their feet. The storm had left his veins, and in its place was a strange new calm. She made that possible. Métis, clever, quiet, sharp in mind but soft in voice. She didn't treat him like a god. She didn't even treat him like a king. She just looked at him the same way before and after he'd taken down Cronus. It made him breathe easier. But not everyone liked that. Elsewhere, beneath the olive shrine, Hera's hand hovered over a bowl of sacred water. Her fingers traced the surface slowly, stirring the reflection until it cleared and showed Métis' face. She wasn't glaring, she wasn't fuming, she was studying. "This is not jealousy," she murmured. "This is correction." Her eyes narrowed. "She moves like a queen already. Subtle, steady, clever enough to stay near him, but never too close in public. She's building a future." Her fingers curled, and the water froze solid in the bowl. Hera stood. "I won't allow it." This wasn't rage. This wasn't some broken-hearted tantrum. This was calculation. She had spent the war watching everything. Who fought, who fled, who stayed loyal, and now, she watched who dared think themselves worthy to stand beside the king of the skies. And she had found only one obstacle. Métis. The next day, Garden of Aegis. Métis stood beneath a fig tree, speaking with Hestia. She was calm, smiling. But she felt it, the weight in the wind. Hera approached like sunlight over a blade. Warm, regal, and dangerous if you looked too long. "Sister," Hera said softly, "you've been spending a lot of time with Zeus." Métis nodded. "He asked me to help build the new world. I said yes." "So that's what you're doing?" Hera tilted her head. "Building." "Of course." A pause. Then Métis smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "And you, are you helping build, or rearrange?" Their gazes met. Long, still. Hera chuckled and walked past, but Métis turned slightly, watching her go. "She's planning something," Métis whispered under her breath. But she didn't confront her. Because smart queens don't strike early. They let the trap close first. 3 days later, Throne Summit. Zeus stood at the center of the high altar, looking down at the wide table of gods. The final issue remained. The world, the division of it. Hades leaned against one of the marble columns. "Let's not drag this. You know what I want." Poseidon smirked. "You mean the shadows and bones? You sure you don't want something with sunlight?" Hades didn't blink. "I don't need sunlight, I need silence." Zeus nodded. "Fine, you take the underworld. You'll guard the dead, the gates, and the depths." Hades gave a sharp nod. Poseidon crossed his arms. "Then what's left for me? Don't tell me you're handing me lakes and puddles." Zeus raised a brow. "The oceans, brother, every one of them, surface to deepest trench." "That's not enough." Zeus frowned. Poseidon stepped forward. "You get the sky, you get the storms, you get Olympus, you sit on the throne. And I swim." Zeus's voice sharpened. "The oceans touch every land. They connect every realm. Don't underestimate what you've been given." Hades stepped between them. "It's not about what we want. It's about what balances the world. I don't care for the sky. I don't care for the sea. I'll take the dead, but if we turn this into ego." He looked at them both. "The world will rot before it begins." The silence settled like a heavy fog. Zeus exhaled slowly. "Then it's done." He raised his hand. With a pulse of divine light, he etched it in the fabric of reality. Zeus, sky and storm, king of Olympus. Poseidon, seas and earthquakes, lord of the oceans. Hades, death in the underworld, keeper of the lost. Their domains sealed. Poseidon grumbled. "Next time, I want a vote." Zeus smirked. "We'll call it a tie." That night, edge of the old battlefield. Métis sat alone, watching the stars. She heard the footsteps before the voice. "You're dangerous." She turned. Hera stood there, arms folded, crown gleaming under the moon. "So are you," Métis answered. "I thought about poisoning you," Hera said. Métis blinked. "Then I thought about isolating you. Making Zeus doubt you. Maybe telling him you plan to control him. You would have wasted your breath." I know. Silence. Then Hera sighed. I'm not angry because you're clever. I'm angry because I wasn't faster. Métis tilted her head. Faster at what? At seeing him first. Métis looked at her. Really looked. And for a moment, her voice softened. You still can, Hera. There's room in the sky. But Hera shook her head. I don't want a space beside him. I want the one you took. Métis stood slowly. Not scared, not proud, just honest. Then you'll have to take it from me. They stood like that for a long time. Two queens, one already chosen, one still playing the long game. And neither backing down. Later, Mount Dictee, temple balcony. Zeus leaned over the edge, arms on the railing, watching the moonlight touch the ruins far below. Métis came up behind him, silent. He didn't turn. She's coming for you, he said. I know. You scared? No. He finally looked at her. You sure you want to do this? This world, this crown. Métis smiled, tired but warm. I don't want the crown. Then what? You. He stepped closer. His forehead touched hers, and in the quiet between storms, they stayed, because they both knew, the war might have ended, but the game had just begun. And Zeus would let them fool themselves. To be continued. Chapter 27, Cronus' Fate. Mount Dictee, temple balcony. The wind moved slower here, not because the air was thin, but because time, somehow, had slowed just enough to let him breathe. Zeus stood still after Métis walked away, his eyes still on the sky. The stars were clearer than they had been in weeks. Like even the cosmos knew the war was over. But it wasn't peace he was watching for. It was the screen. It blinked into existence before his eyes, invisible to everyone else. No one knew, not even Métis. Not even the gods. System notification. Main quest completed. The Titanomachy begins. Objective. Defeat the 12 Titans and overthrow the rule of Cronus. Filled right pointing small triangle rally the Olympians, 6/6 gathered. Filled right pointing small triangle secure divine stronghold, Mount Olympus claimed. Filled right pointing small triangle gain realm recognition, 1/3 mortals do not yet revere the new gods. Filled right pointing small triangle first blood drawn, Cronus wounded by skybolt. Win conditions met, check box with check Cronus must fall. Check box with check throne of Olympus must rise. Check box with check a new age must begin. Failure conditions avoided. Multiply death or submission of all Olympians. Multiply return of the world to Titan rule. The text faded. Another screen appeared, slicker, sharper. The glow behind it felt heavier. Reward acquired. Filled right pointing small triangle complete system ascension, system limitations lifted. New paths unlocked. Filled right pointing small triangle world authority access, you may now influence realm law, fate threads, and mortal myth. Filled right pointing small triangle seat of the sky, absolute authority over weather, storms, lightning, celestial events. Zeus exhaled, low and slow. It wasn't just power. This was something else. Authority, influence, a grip not just over the sky, but over reality itself. The system had changed. It was part of him. His gift, his curse, his tool. And now, it waited. New main quest unlocked. Quest. The Age of Gods. Objective. Establish Olympus as the center of divine order across all realms. Unite or conquer all pantheons and safeguard mortal fate. Requirements. Build pantheon seats 0/12. Gain full realm recognition 1/3. Rewrite the divine law. Survive the first crisis. Reward. Origin core access. Omnipantheon integration key. Legacy path revelation. Failure. Collapse of Olympus. Rise of forgotten powers. Zeus closed the screen with a blink. The system never gave too much. Never told him why it worked the way it did. Just what he had to do next. It guided him like a rope through a storm. But now, the rope was coiling around the world. He stepped back from the edge and turned toward the inner temple. A soft voice greeted him from behind a pillar. You've been staring at the sky for a long time, Métis said. Zeus didn't react, he just looked at her. Eyes calm, still glowing faintly with the aftermath of lightning. Just thinking, he said. About what comes next. He nodded. Métis studied him. She could feel it again, that weight. Something ticking behind his silence. Something vast. She didn't ask, because she already knew. Zeus had seen something again. Something only he could see. And he wasn't ready to say it out loud. Not yet. Elsewhere, deep hollow of Mount Dictee. Inside the sealed rock of the mountain, the system pulsed quietly. It wasn't just floating code. It was alive, watching, recording, adjusting itself to match Zeus's path. It had grown stronger too. Now that Cronus was sealed and the sky answered to Zeus alone. It began expanding. System evolution triggered. Tier. Celestial Authority System Right Pointing Arrow World Dominion Protocol. Synchronizing with universal law, adapting to mythic resonance. Mapping new divine threads. Zeus had no idea what was coming next. But the world was already watching him. In the system. It was just getting started. The deepest part of Tartarus. Beneath time, beneath fate, beneath even death itself. The air down here didn't move. It didn't breathe. It pressed, like the world itself was trying to crush everything inside it. And in the heart of that crushing dark, Cronus. Chained, suspended in a pit that had no walls, only shadows. Shackles forged from fate steel bound his arms and legs. His scythe was gone, his power dimmed, but his eyes still burned like ancient suns. He twisted his neck, chains clinking with each movement, and stared at the two figures in front of him. One stood with quiet sadness. The other, with cold distance. Gaia and Rhea, his mother, his wife. The Titan King sneered. "You think these chains will hold me for long?" His voice echoed through the void, layered with something not entirely natural, like it came from the bones of the world itself. "I am Cronus, the World Reaper, the one who broke Uranus. I took the throne once. I'll take it again." His jaw clenched. "I will escape this pit. I will reclaim my seat as God King. And when I do, I'll grind Olympus into dust beneath my heel." Gaia looked at him without flinching. Her green eyes shimmered like stone soaked in sorrow. "You've always mistaken strength for destiny." Cronus spat. "You made me this way." "I made you a titan," Gaia said quietly. "Not a monster." Rhea stepped forward now, her golden robes brushing against the floating shards of broken time that orbited the prison. Her gaze held no anger. Only resolve. "You devoured our children. To stop the curse," Cronus snapped, "the prophecy said my downfall would come from one of them. And you fulfilled it yourself," Rhea said, stepping even closer. "You were never defeated by fate. You were devoured by fear." Cronus yanked against his chains. They groaned. Sparks flew, but they held. "I will rise again," he snarled. "You think your sons can hold me? The moment they show weakness, the moment they slip, I'll return. And this time, I won't hesitate." Gaia didn't blink. Rhea didn't tremble. The two women, goddess and titaness, turned to go. "You won't break these chains," Gaia said as her voice trailed off. "They weren't made to hold your body. They were made to hold your will." And as they vanished into the mist, their forms swallowed by the abyss, Cronus screamed after them. Not in pain, but in defiance. And Tartarus listened. Somewhere in that endless black, something stirred. Something older than gods, and it remembered his name. To be continued.